And of course, this week we are rejoined once again for the second time by a special guest this week, Marvin Okello, who is joining us for the second time. He's a big Gooner fan. He works for Halifax Wanderers. What's up, Marvin?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for having me again. It's a good time to be a Gooner. Way better than the last time.
Yeah. So we got, we're on YouTube. Be sure to check us out. We are going to launch into our Champions League coverage now, brought to you by Boxing Rock. So check out the BNV Media channel on YouTube. And we're going to kick it off with yesterday's games because it is the last day, match day of Champions League group stage. So as of recording time here on Wednesday, we have the knockout stage lineup all lined up for everybody right now. And there wasn't much drama today on Wednesday as far as who's going through, but holy moly, the drama was live and kicking yesterday on Tuesday night, especially in Group D, where all four teams had a chance of going through. We are going to start in the south of France at the Velodrome, home of Olympique de Marseille, who were hosting Tottenham Hotspur, heading into the day in last place in the group. Spurs in first, Sporting second, Frankfurt third. But all teams tightly bunched there, and a win for any of these teams would have seen them through. And starting off the game, Marseille, what an atmosphere. One of the great atmospheres in world football there at Stade Velodrome. Eh?
Absolutely incredible.
Just like the tifos and the passion from the fans is notorious.
Yep.
And it delivered, the drama was delivered to us on this day. A largely dominant first half by the French lads. And shouts to producer Mark in 45+2, Chancel Mbemba, longtime Newcastle Magpie, the Congolese.
Right. Yes, he was. I forgot about that too.
Congolese fullback now plying his trade in Ligue 1 with a smart finish in added time of the first half to Marseille up 1-0. And as it stood right there, Marseille going through at halftime, and a really dreadful display, like basically no show by Spurs in that first half.
Oh, Spurs were terrible in that first half, and I just have to say, death, taxes, and Eric Bailly getting subbed off for injury after 9 minutes. And it sucks because he should be so good, but he can't walk to get the newspaper without getting hurt. So you just need to just go be a coach, bro.
And I got to shout out to the Guendouzi, man. He balled in that first half. Absolutely controlled the middle of the park. He made Tottenham's midfield look average that entire first half.
Has had really revived his career after leaving your Gooners. What a litany of former Gooners on this Marseille team.
Tavares at left back looks like a man reborn too, like bombing up and down the left, look like a prime Gareth Bale or something.
Yeah, I was saying in the group chat, I was praying that Guendouzi or Alexis or Nuno scored the winning goal to knock Tottenham. It would just be chef's kiss.
And Alexis Sanchez looking fit and trim. After a couple of hard years at Inter, not really getting into the squad, has moved over to Marseille and looks good this year, scoring goals in the league. So a 1-0 lead for Marseille at halftime. But in the second half, a different story. And of course, Antonio Conte, not on the touchline for this one, picked up a red card in his last match. So he was watching from the stands. But kudos to this coaching staff there. Ryan Mason, former Spur, and a couple of his other boys getting the lads up at halftime, because a tale of two halves. Spurs coming out on fire, and Ivan Perisic, what a great buy, what a great summer Spurs had, getting in some help, and Perisic with one of his trademark bending long crosses, and a longtime Barcelona man on loan now at Spurs, Clément Lenglet, with his debut goal in Spurs Lily White with a smart header.
Who I don't rate at all, just for the record.
Yeah, rose above the defender. Why didn't he do this from my Barcelona Blaugrana? I never seen him really score for us, but it was all level at the 54th minute.
Yep, no, it was all that. that, and you could just start to see the everything started to turn. The momentum started to turn, and I thought Marseille got into it a little bit after that. Like, tried to get it back. Another former Gooner, Said Kolasinac, came on, missed a sitter, and that was when, as soon as he missed that, I was like, yeah, Spurs are going to win this.
Yeah, that was the summary of his Arsenal career too.
Yeah, that and protecting being Mesut Ozil's bodyguard.
Yeah, missing sitters and being a tank. I mean, what a brick shit house that guy is. But Harry Kane, great second half, doing his usual drop deep, picking it up from the midfielders, spraying it out wide. We should say, get well soon, Heung-min Son.
Yeah, bad.
Yeah, took a shoulder, just went up. I think it was with Mbemba actually, and just right at the halfway mark, going up for a ball, no malicious intent at all, but smashed his face right into the shoulder of Mbemba, and looks like a pretty bad concussion. So prayers up to him, because that World Cup is approaching in a few weeks, and he is
the world just needs to see him. Man.
He's a talismanic player for that Korean team, a very talented Korean team that could go far in this World Cup, full of Bundesliga players, but of course led by Sonny. So hopefully he gets better in time.
Yeah,
but
regardless of what team you support, you want to see Son playing. It's smiling, man.
Same with me, man. Like he just looks like everybody loves him.
Yeah. So the late drama. After in 90+5, almost the last kick of the match. I don't know why Marseille were so high. I guess, they had to throw everybody forward to try to win the game because they had to go through. But at a tie, they were at least in Europa League.
Yeah.
But everybody forward and caught out on the break. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, the highest man on the pitch of all people, and a smart finish in acres of space from, I don't know, just outside the 18-yard box.
A brave finish.
A low worm burner, from let fly from further out than you would have expected. Usually you see somebody round the keeper in that case or something. But a smart finish into the, and guess what? Spurs fans, shouts to Ant over there at down the pub, and all the Spurs fans here in Halifax. They pulled one from the fire and topped the group, and we'll moving on to the round of 16 unbelievably.
Like, what the hell were they doing? Like, I was just yelling. There was one defender back from Marseille and then 4 Spurs people, and you could see Guendouzi yelling at people like, yo, what are you doing?
I saw this post today with the coach literally on the field trying to direct people back. Apparently, he was literally like, protect like the Europa, but nobody could hear him because it's the velodrome.
Yeah, that's fair.
Unbelievable stuff.
Yeah. No, it was and I mean, and that's Spurs. When Spurs play, Spurs are good, but Spurs will wait until they're going to defend, and then try to hit you on the counter. When they play, they're good. So why don't they do that from the beginning? I know it's just not Conte's
manager who just doesn't do that. It's this weird paradox. It's like as soon as he attacks, you guys win, but he doesn't want to attack.
I'm so happy he didn't come to United.
Yeah. True that.
So let's keep it moving. Let's head down to Portugal to the Estadio José Alvalade in the capital of Lisbon, where Sporting CP were hosting Eintracht Frankfurt. And of course, heading into this one, same story. This is from Group D. Sporting sitting in second heading in. And in the 39th minute, Arthur Gomez with a smart finish from just outside the 6-yard box. It kind of bounced around in the area and ended up at his feet. And he put it in to go up 1-0 at halftime for the Portuguese lads. And as it stood at halftime, it was Sporting and Marseille through. Of course, it didn't end up that way. And the second half, it was all Frankfurt. Yeah. The defending Europa League champions. This is a great story. They have come up in Germany and, after a little bit of a rough start in the Bundesliga this season, have rounded into form the last few weeks and are now moving on to the knockout stages due to 2 goals in the second half. What a season.
Their supporters are incredible too.
So many good players. Great to see Mario Götze healthy and contributing and leading them in touches most weeks. But Daichi Kamada has been
fantastic.
He has been their best player this season. He scored from the spot, but is kind of their focal point in attack. He likes to stay on the wing, but will drop into the center and combine with all those other guys, particularly Götze. They lost Kostic to Juventus in the offseason, and that was where they ran a lot of their offense through last season. But Kamada has kind of taken up the mantle as their creative force. He scored from the spot, and then a free transfer from Nantes, Rola Kolomuani, who came over and is now spearheading their attack in the middle of their at their highest forward, and a smart finish from the edge of the area, beat his man and roofed it from a tight angle in the 72nd minute. He is scoring freely in the league as well, and Eintracht Frankfurt are through in second place. So great to see this team kind of reinforce their position in Europe after winning the second-tier competition last season.
Sporting would have won if they would have just paid us for Ronaldo.
Nobody wants to pay those wages.
No, not at all.
Yeah. And a great game from Luca Pellegrini, also for Eintracht. He's on loan from Juventus. He's a young lad. Wasn't breaking into the Juve squad. Some great business, again, by Frankfurt, getting him in there on loan. So we got Frankfurt and Tottenham going through from Group D. I just wanted to shout out Jeremiah St. Just. He is a Dutchman for Sporting, playing fullback, and he had a zillion touches and clearances and tackles, and a great performance by him. But despite that, Sporting will be playing Thursday night football in the new year. So Frankfurt moving on into the knockout phases.
The Europa this year, man, is just as exciting as Champions League.
Right?
Teams in it now. You got Arsenal, you got Barcelona, you got all these teams that are dropping out that have no business being in Europa.
No, like Juve's in Europa now, right?
Juve's in Europa now.
Yep.
You know.
So, I mean, and that sucks because me and you were like chilling. We're like, we're going to meet in the finals. It'll be great. Yeah. I forgot that I didn't expect like Barcelona and them to be in it.
No, United's in there. Like it could be anybody.
Yeah. Yep.
So let's keep it moving. We got a long rundown to get through here, and we have a Canadian angle. So we are going to head up north in Portugal from the capital up to FC Porto, hosting Atletico Madrid. And whoa, boy, is it rough times for the red and white half of Madrid. They crash out of Europe. They will not be playing European football after Christmas for the first time in 15 years.
Jesus.
They finish in fourth place in their group, get beaten 2-1 by Porto in Portugal, and talismanic figure in the middle of midfield alongside of Otavio, Steven Eustachio, Canadian international, is balling out right now.
He's been player of the month. He's been player of the week. He's been dominating in that Portuguese league, man. It's great to see a Canadian not just go and just be a passenger on a team, but literally be a starter and a like pivotal figure in that team. And he's showing the world what Canadian players can do.
Definitely. I mean, it is a great advertisement for Canadian soccer. We have so many guys playing at the top level in top form heading into the World Cup right now. Yeah. You know, Jonathan David is scoring freely for Lille right now. Davies is back healthy and playing well.
Tejan Buchanan was playing. He played really well for Bruges the other day.
Yeah,
and they're really the surprise package of Champions League.
And they'll be going through to the knockout phases as well. Already secured their spot before this last round of fixtures, and Tejan a starter there and running a lot of their offense through his right wing. Yeah. So great story for Canadian soccer, and Eustachio on the score sheet here. A ball played back into his path at the edge of the 18, and he smashes home a low worm burner smartly to get on the score sheet. That was after Iranian international, who we will probably see at the World Cup coming up. But he is in fine form as well, leading the line for FC Porto. The big number 9 Iranian international played in by Evan Nielsen early for a close range finish. There was a late consolation marker that meant nothing to Atleti. But yeah, FC Porto going through really like horrific display from Atletico. Anto Griezmann has been the one kind of bright spot. He works really hard,
especially now
tracks back.
Play more than a half an hour.
Yeah. But the legalities of that boggle my mind.
It's typical Barca business now. We'll figure it out until it works for both parties. We're not walking away from the bargaining table until we both come to an agreement that works mostly for Barca, but kind of for both parties.
But it makes no sense though. Atleti has way too much talent to be playing. Just like Spurs, they have way too much talent to be playing the way that they do. Like, Griezmann's great. Felix, I'm sure Felix just has to go because, like, he's just getting mad because Simeone won't take the handbrake off. Like, just let him go. And I bet you that they would. And now, I suppose you're good, like, but your ceiling is third with the way that you play. If you want to go for the league, let him go.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like Simeone has an attachment to some players that just need to go. The likes of, like, Koke and stuff. Like, he's a great player, and, like, in the right team, when he actually had, you know, forwards that could run and stretch teams like Suarez and the Mandzukic and these guys, he could get the best out of them. But now that he doesn't have those forwards and those experienced guys who can carry you out of games and get you that one goal to give you those 1-0 wins, it just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
You know? And he's still clinging on to the way they used to play and what they had.
Yeah. And some renewed calls from, you know, he is a messianic figure there for Atleti fans, El Cholo, and starting to hear some calls for his head for the first time after being in charge, I think, for 11 seasons. So we will see if there is a reckoning at the Wanda Metropolitano and see if Simeone finds his head on the chopping block in the coming weeks. Because if they don't turn it around soon, we could see some big changes at Atleti.
They don't make the Champions League.
They only have the league now. So it's not like he has any other competition to give the fans hope. It's just the league now. And if he doesn't get Champions League top 4,
he's done.
And we'll get to their league story. They had a bad weekend in the league as well. Let's keep it moving in Champions League. Liverpool were hosting Napoli, the incredible Napoli side, who are still unbeaten in Italy and were unbeaten heading into this match at Anfield. And you know, they had the group wrapped up already. So no matter what the result here, they were still going to top the group. But, you know, despite the doom and gloom in the league after 2 losses on the trot to relegation sides for Klopp's men, and of course he has come under fire from the media mostly. I mean, the fans still back him after he's built up some goodwill over the years.
I mean, they were shit for a while.
They were shit for a while. I mean, you can say there were the injuries, but every team deals with injuries. I hate when Klopp, you know, uses that as like, oh, we had, everybody does.
Yeah, welcome to the club.
Exactly. But for me, it's what is the lowest that he can finish that the Liverpool fans would still be okay with?
6th.
6th? That's the end of the season? 6th?
I think that he finished 6th for 1 season. And then after that they want Champions League or win the league. Like, I think he has 1 bad season. He's got enough a long leash like that. But
there's that like post big season burnout, they call it. Like when you're playing in 4, 5, 6 competitions, when you get into the FIFA Club World Cup and all this, you're playing 2-3 days. It does take a toll on the players' bodies, right? So I think he's earned a season, but I agree. I think top 6 is what he has to get. If he doesn't get 7th, 8th, 9th, like it might be time to move on.
I'm praying for it.
And this match at Anfield on Tuesday night, a little bit of dead rubber, pretty cagey for most of the match. We had 2 late goals for Liverpool to collect all 3 points. Mo Salah bundling it over the line from close range after it bounced around in the box. And then Darwin Nunez with was it a header? It was kind of like bounced off him from close range. He seems to collect goals without affecting matches very much. I've heard like this, is this guy going to be a 20-goal flop? Floated out there for Liverpool. But, you know, they get the result against an on-fire Napoli team who were kind of taking it easy, it should be said.
They were trying not to get hurt.
He reminds me of a Chelsea Torres. That's how I sum up Darwin right now.
Yeah, I could see that.
He gets chances, and like all the ones you're like, he should score those, he doesn't. And all the ones you're like, he's probably not going to score that, he does. And you're like, make it make sense.
Yeah, and he's going to end up at the end of the season with 22 goals, and we're going to be like, how the hell did we get here?
Yep. You know, I thought Bobby Chompers, Roberto Firmino, good game, doing his usual dropping deep and picking.
He's been very good this year.
Picking it up from the midfield. Keeping Nunez out of the side in that central position in their front 3. I thought Nunez, you know, they bought him for big money from Benfica, was scored north of 30 goals in all competitions last season in Portugal, and I thought he would supplant Bobby in that front 3, but he's refound his form and will be probably starting for Brazil in the upcoming World Cup, given his form going
Bobby
forward.
And Jesus for me are the same. They just need some love. They just need to feel like I am important to this team, and they deliver.
And that's the thing, and I thought they looked a lot better at the back with Ibrahimi Konate back as well. Like, because I mean, Joel Matip and Joe Gomez are fine, I guess, but he's much better than both of them.
Yeah, I mean, Virgil, we were talking, not a great season so far for Big Van Dijk there at the back, not looking like his imperious self.
Even Robbo for the first 8 games was looking way behind.
Well, I mean, they were starting some gas over him.
Yeah. Well, and he started the Champions League game too.
Yeah.
Honestly, all their big guys, even Fabinho has looked behind it. Thiago's looked sluggish at times. Yeah. Henderson, really the only one.
Mo's been all right, but there's been a couple games where you kind of don't know that he's there.
Yeah, it's Milner of all people.
Yeah,
strong.
97-year-old James Milner.
That one game
what a soldier.
Against Foden, when they put him wing back, I was like, no way, this is going to be 5-6 just because of that. But it was literally the opposite.
Yeah. He's so smart too. Even if he's not fast, he knows where to be. He can read the play, right?
Incredible.
Let's keep it moving. Let's head to London at Stamford Bridge today, and we will hit a few of the games that just wrapped up. Chelsea were hosting Dinamo Zagreb, and in this Group E, there was a few different permutations the way that the group could end up. But Chelsea going down early, and Zagreb, we have to give them a shout. They're Croatian champions. They finished bottom of the group, but really performed well in almost every match.
Yeah, never got blown out.
Never got blown out, and gave everybody a game every single time.
Every season. They're just
and beat Chelsea at home.
Yeah, you have to take them seriously. First minute, 90th minute, they play to win.
Yep. And went up early today. Petkovic with kind of a second phase header from close range in the 7th minute to go up early. But that woke Chelsea up.
Yep.
And then Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang playing Raheem Sterling in with some nice fancy feet. Had a couple guys right in his shirt, but still managed to get it out of his feet and finish into the left side netting in the 18th minute. And
Sterling
then
needed that.
He needed that bad.
It started well and then had a bit of a slump recently, eh? Yeah. But speaking of slumps, debutant Dennis Zakaria, who just came over, the holding midfielder from Juventus. This is his first appearance in Chelsea colours after being injured.
I thought so, because I was like, when the hell did that happen? When did he go and then went back? Oh, right, he is on there.
Yeah,
and apparently Potter doesn't rate him because of his work ethic. So, this was important for him in his start to be like, okay, I can contribute.
Yeah, well, and he finished from the edge of the area, kind of snuck between a defender and the goalie. Hit it with power to get it through there in the 30th minute. And then kind of a stroll in the park the rest of the way for Chelsea, just kind of ticking it over. Not many shots through, but 22 attempts. Jorginho, this is a Jorginho game.
Perfect for him.
Zagreb sitting off and at Stamford Bridge at home. So he had 1 billion touches and square passes. But Chelsea getting it done and topping the group. So they will be going through fairly easily. So some good form shown in Europe by Chelsea when they haven't been showing it so much in the league.
Ben Chilwell's was really good in this game too. I actually watched most of this game while I was working. Sorry, work. Ben Chilwell was good. And Kai Havertz, I know he doesn't score a lot and stuff, but he's good in tight spaces. He's great.
Firmino comp.
Yeah, there we go. Right? That's a very good for me. Yeah, he drops deep. Yeah. He's not a striker, but he's not a midfielder. But I thought that he was really good today behind Aubameyang. And I saw Aubameyang tracking back. I don't remember. Did he do that at Arsenal?
Probably since first couple of years, but not the last.
I was gonna say maybe under Klopp at Dortmund, maybe when he was a kid. But I wanted to shout out Ljubicic for Dinamo Zagreb. He is their box-to-box, do everything midfielder. He was all over the place in every game I saw this season in Champions League. So an adieu to him for some yeoman's work in their midfield. A couple more stops from today in that group as well. AC Milan and Salzburg, who the winner of this one going through. Milan with some shaky form in both the league and in Europe so far this season. But a great performance here at the San Siro.
It's such a good squad. They have no reason to be struggling.
Yeah, right? I mean, Rafael Leao with his usual rampaging runs all night.
I'll see him in the Prem one day.
And Olivier Giroud, the old man, with a brace in this one, 2 typical Giroud finishes. One a smart header off a beautiful cross, and another one after a mazy run from left all the way over to the right side by Leao, who crossed it back into the middle for Giroud to finish. It ended up 4-0. Also, Teo Hernandez, what a season this guy is having on the left as a fullback. An incredible player, the French national. We will see him at the World Cup as well. He was rampaging up and down, hit the post in the first half with a great shot across the goalie from outside the box. So pretty good walk in the park for AC Milan. Although Salzburg, good club, had some attacks. Pavlovic was great at the back. Adamu had a couple good chances, the young Nigerian up front. And, you know, Salzburg made the knockout stages last season, and they have a good thing going. They got that Red Bull system thing. You know, all those teams kind of play the same way. But AC Milan just too class on the day, and they will go through in second just behind Chelsea.
Yeah, man. Like Marvin said, they have way too much talent to be like, they should be running away with Italy right now, I think. Like, I think top to bottom, they have the most talent in the league.
It should be them and Inter just walking away with it.
Yeah, and Inter, don't even get us started on that. They're awful this year. But yeah, and like Leao has been, you know, he's just, we want to see him in the Prem, man. Like, I mean, I preferably like to see him on United, but like, I feel like if anyone got to get him, it would probably be City.
I've heard the Chelsea rumors.
Yeah, and I've heard we're rumored with him as well. We're keeping tabs. So.
I think everybody wants him, including I think Real Madrid, and obviously Milan want to re-up. I mean, obviously he was the best player in Italy last year.
Yeah.
And they won the Scudetto, so
so
they want to keep him. One more stop. I wanted to mention this before we leave Champions League. In Israel today, in Haifa, my Portuguese boys, Benfica, they were way behind PSG on goal difference heading into this one. Both teams were through already. But PSG were playing Juventus and managed to get a narrow 2-1 victory, including a Mbappe banger. Yes. Check that one out if you haven't seen it. Check our stories at The False 9 on Instagram. But Benfica go into Israel and hang 6 on Maccabi Haifa.
Just seeing this result.
And on goal difference, including away goals, Benfica leapfrog PSG into first and take the group. Unbelievable story here.
Always be failing to top the group and always get punished. I would not be surprised if they end up against Bayern again.
Well, I was saying on the way down, I guarantee you by the morning, PSG is lodging some sort of complaint to UEFA. It'd be like, yo, man, like they was cheating. Like they needed 6 and they just so happened to get 6. Like, come on. But like you were saying, you made a good point. Maccabi, after it got like 4, Maccabi's like, all right, well, fuck it. We just don't want to get hurt anymore. So they backed off. Like, you know.
It happens.
It happens. I don't think, hey, man, PSG, if PSG would have beaten Benfica at Benfica, none of this would be a problem.
Exactly. Benfica winning at home and PSG winning at home. So they split their games against each other in Champions League this year. Wanted to shout out Grimaldo, their fullback, was unbelievable in this one. Had like 130 touches or something, including a banger free kick from outside the area. Yep. Really, really nice goal. Also, Gonzalo Ramos, the Darwin Nunez replacement at Benfica. In scorching form in the league, also scored in this one. And Benfica way out front in Portugal as well, ahead of their cross-city rivals Sporting and FC Porto right now. I think they've got 8 points gap to Porto right now in the top league in Portugal. So really good form from Benfica. Hanging 6 on Maccabi to leapfrog PSG, and they will.
Good are Portuguese teams at replacing the talent they sell, man.
Yeah, it's great development. Yeah,
right from Bruno Fernandes, Jackson Martinez, Falcao, like you name it. Guys who have been sold for big money have. It's just a cog in there. Like another person comes in, boom. Bang the next one out. The next one out. Hulk, whoever it is. Like they just keep pumping out guys.
Because they ended up selling Hulk for like $50 million to like Zenit, and he stunk.
And he was horrible.
And I think they got like $125 million for Joao Felix. Benfica did from Atleti. So like
$60 million for Bruno. Like man, they know how to sell, but also to keep winning. Like especially those two teams.
Yep. Yeah. All right, so that's all we got for our Champions League rundown for this week. But let's keep it moving to the EPL, the Premier League in England. Check us out on our BNV media channel on YouTube, brought to you by Boxing Rock. This is our Premier League rundown. And we are going to lead off due to our esteemed guest here. Marvin Okello is a Gooner. So we are going to start off with the Arsenal story, and what a story it is. It is halcyon days, not seen since the days of Arsene Wenger. Arsenal still in front of Manchester City, heading the Premier League table after what is it, 13, 14 matches now.
Something like that.
And at the weekend at the Emirates, taking on relegation zone and newly promoted Nottingham Forest. And what a performance. Just swatted them aside. Of course, Forest coming off a victory over Liverpool the previous week. So, coming in decent form. But holy moly, a 5-0 victory for Arsenal. Unfortunate to see Saka pick up a little bit of a knock. Was playing great up until that point.
He's giving him hell.
Goal and an assist, like streaking up the right. But guess what? The longtime on loan man, where was he?
My guy,
Reece Nelson comes on and scores a brace and sets up another. Unbelievable days for your lads.
It was honestly the perfect day because, when Saka went down, I was like, shit. Like, there goes our season. Like, you were just waiting for it.
Yep.
Like I said, just one big injury away. But luckily, he's good. I saw he's trained with the team today.
Yeah.
And Reece Nelson getting a chance because, really, it was gonna be hard for him to get a chance unless somebody got an injury.
I forgot that he was. I honestly forgot he was still on the team.
He's been in like Augsburg and a couple other places in Germany. I think
he wants to prove it at Arsenal. He's one of those guys who grew up in the system since he was 7 years old. So he's Arsenal through and through. So to see him get his chance and prove it again, because he had another big game last year. You might remember against Liverpool where he scored the winner.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So when he gets chances, he is known for delivering. And there was that one viral video that went. From training too, where he absolutely just sat down everybody, and then nutmegged the goalie.
So he's got the talent.
He's got the talent. He just needs a little bit of love.
Yeah, and
and some playing time.
Yeah, but where's that playing time coming from? Because he opened his scoring Martinelli in the 5th minute, and he's been having a hell of a season.
I mean, who hasn't? That whole squad. We were talking about Thomas Partey just running your squad.
I think he's your most important player.
He allows Xhaka to be a box-to-box midfielder
and not have to deal with defending, because if he's defending, that's a red card waiting to happen.
It is, and that's why I say we are still 1 or 2 injuries away from falling off. You know, because if Partey gets injured, that means that Sambi Lokonga has to play, and I just do not think that he's ready.
I think
he's one for the future, but. If Zinchenko's back, maybe he could play that CDM role, but still, Thomas Partey is crucial to everything we do.
Yeah.
And Jesus as well. He's not even
another great performance by him, even though he
didn't score. All he needed was a goal.
He should have had a hat trick, I will say.
Yes.
He should have had a hat trick in
Yeah.
any other game. And as the striker, the money that we pay for a guy like that, you expect him to have a hat trick. But he does all the other things.
Draws
really
so much attention, right? And opens up space for the other guys because he can keep hold of the ball so long and draw so much attention.
He's the most valuable player in the league this year.
Yeah, and he can keep it too. When that second challenge comes in, he can lay it off, you know, and keep the move going rather than it dying. And he's been great at that so far this season. Martin Odegaard also just kind of Rolls Royce, just sitting, doesn't run much, but doesn't need to, just collects it and sprays it around, kind of Pirlo vibes.
Forget how long he's been around the game. Odegaard, honestly. I think we're really starting to see him grow into it, but he's been around since he was 15. It's crazy just the longevity.
And at Real Madrid, too. So, so much talent around,
learning from the Modric's and the guys like
Tony Kroos
and everybody. He's showing the class that he's been around.
He kind of reminds me, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I forgot that he was at Madrid, but he's kind of a combination of the two. The way that he plays. Yeah, of Kroos and Modric. Because he can make the flashy move like Modric can, but he can also spray the ball around like Kroos can.
Yeah. He controls the tempo so well.
Yeah.
Because you'll see him moments where we're a bit boring side to side, and he'll just start to go, let's go. Let's actually have some direction. He'll beat a guy, make a splitting pass, and everyone else just kind of, picks up from him, So I love that he's been captain and the way he's been leading.
I think I said at the beginning of the year, I was I don't know Odegaard as a captain, but I'm kind of in now. He's Arteta's coach on the field. Everything, he knows how Arteta wants to play.
And similar vibes to Arteta too, right? Understated, calm, and I think that's good for a building young squad, right? No,
100%.
Not too fiery. I'll always keep everything level-headed. Focus on the system. Focus on where you need to be. All that kind of stuff. And
especially when you have fiery guys like Gabriel in the team, like Xhaka in the team. These guys who could be volatile with a guy like Xhaka captain or Aubameyang who's also kind of volatile.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good having somebody like him who's got that calm temperament, like you just said, who kind of everyone's like, wait, like, let's not lose our heads. Like, let's be like Odegaard.
Yeah. Saliba's been great. Ben White as a right back, really good. Like,
I hope he goes to the World Cup, man.
Shit, he might be England's best right back now that Reece James is gone.
Honestly, based on form, he should be there.
Yeah.
Like, maybe the only other guy I'd give a shout out to, and Mark will be pumped, is Trippier. Trippier,
yes, Trippier's been good.
When you add his set pieces and everything, and his ability to go both ways, because as good as Ben White is defending, he lacks a little bit on the final ball and that overlap. Sometimes Saka has to force it a bit more than he needs to, just because Ben White takes that extra second just to be like, oh, right, I should overlap, because he is used to being a center back.
Yeah, you got Saka there. Just play it on to him.
Yeah, exactly. And I think anybody would do it, because you'd be like, all right, Saka's going to beat his man. Oh, wait, no, I'm supposed to help. I'm supposed to do something. Right? So Trippier, I give him that over him, but otherwise, I think Ben White should be on the plane regardless. And the likes of Mings and Cody and all these other guys who are not in form should not be anywhere near that plane.
No. So great days for Arsenal, continuing to lead. When we were arranging this guest spot, we were crossing our fingers and knocking on wood that Arsenal would still be top. And lo and behold, they are still there after a few weeks. So unbelievable scenes.
And there was a couple weeks where we were bad.
Yeah, you snuck through. Yeah,
was bad. That last PSV game was bad.
Yeah,
but I think it's just the classic Thursday Sunday combo.
Yeah,
and now we have to rotate a little bit. So if guys like Nelson can keep contributing, we're
well. That's just it. It's your bench that you heard. Like, your first 11 is awesome. It just. You just don't seem to have any contributions from the bench. But again, Reece Nelson can step in and do stuff.
Yeah, Vieira looks good when he comes
looked
on.
really good, yep.
Marquinhos has been really good when he's had a chance. Yep. Emil Smith-Rowe coming back from injury could be the big thing that really helps us after the World Cup as well.
I forgot about him.
Need some squad depth with that World Cup for sure. Let's keep it moving to some opposite vibes at Anfield. Where they were hosting in a northern rivalry, Leeds United, as Jesse Marsch and his American Revolution rolled into Anfield here. And what a game this was. A barn burner, up and down, back and forth. Leeds setting up in a counter-attacking setup, but using it to perfection in this game.
Everything that Klopp didn't want to happen.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, an early goal from Rodrigo Moreno, the Brazilian cum Spaniard.
How many games is that now that Liverpool's given up the first goal?
And early.
Eight is the number I think I saw.
That's ridiculous, man. Like, if you're playing on the back foot all the time, like, that's got to get tiring.
Yeah. They did pull it back relatively soon as Andy Robertson, finally in the squad, playing a nice cross over to Mo Salah to finish in the 14th minute. But for the second week in a row, this young Dutch lad, Crescencio Somerville, what a moniker. Great fucking name. In the 89th minute, Patrick Bamford holding it up and laying it off to the young lad to kind of poke it through in the 89th to collect all 3 points to Leeds and take them out of the relegation zone. A fully deserved 3 points, despite not having as much of the ball. Some great defending. I thought another Dutchman, Pascal Struijk, has been fantastic for them this season. Very versatile, can play as a fullback or a center back or a holding mid and kind of drifts between those positions. He was fantastic. And the American come over from Salzburg, Brendan Aronson.
He's been really good.
And alongside Tyler Adams, Adams a little deeper lying, a little more of a destroyer. Aronson, also fiery, but playing a little further up the pitch in that midfield.
It's a great differential if you have him on fantasy.
I mean, those two absolutely bossed Thiago and Henderson in this match. Completely won the midfield battle, I thought, and I think that's why they collected all 3 points.
Completely.
Fabiano was not he just wasn't good in this game. He ended up getting subbed off. Actually, he was on. I think he ended up getting subbed on for Henderson, or Henderson ended up getting subbed on for him. But yeah, that midfield in Liverpool just not looking good this year at all. Like, Thiago has to do way too much, and I mean, Thiago's 31 years old, and he's got his injury problems.
Their best players have been their younger guys like Elliott and
Javier Elliott's real good.
Come in, but like, they just need that assuredness that Thiago and Fabinho and Henderson used to bring that they're just not.
Yeah, man. I mean, Father Time's undefeated, man. Like, they just don't have the legs for it. I mean, and Milner's been awesome, as we were saying earlier, but like, I mean, if you're depending on 1,000 years old James Milner, y'all are in trouble.
Yeah. Yep. Klopp's got to just stop being a little bit cheap and just spend on some younger guys.
Yeah, like, I mean, they got money. Like, they got Fenway money. Like, LeBron's involved with the team. Like, y'all got money. And, I mean, how much did they spend on Nunez, though? Like,
that was a lot.
It was
like
lot.
75 million.
So it's a matter of spending the money, but spending the money smartly.
Exactly.
And he's got to start retooling that midfield. Like, yeah, like Harvey Elliott, I thought he was probably like one of their best, well, not in this game, but he's been one of their best players all season because this seems to have that young, youthful, like, I'm just going to run and, like, I don't really care if I make mistakes. And that's awesome. But you need to buy someone to kind of keep up with the Cities and the Arsenals and the Uniteds. Yeah.
Let's keep it moving to the South Coast, to the Amex, where Brighton and Hove Albion were hosting Chelsea, and some great storylines heading in this one, as recently departed Graham Potter, who rose to fame at the helm of Brighton, getting them high up the table, a great modern coach who kind of plied his trade in Europa League in the north of Sweden with some unique coaching tactics, has risen all the way up to Chelsea, but Brighton, taken over by longtime Sassuolo man Roberto De Zerbi, with a similar philosophy, slotted right there into Brighton and handed him some home cooking here. A 4-1 slaughter by Brighton and Hove Albion over Chelsea in this one. Leandro Trossard, the Belgian international, has been on fire all season.
Newcastle rumors, I think.
Yeah, he's been linked with all kinds of squads. Lots of Newcastle rumors recently, especially with their form. We'll get to their story.
Their form and their money. There's always going to be rumors.
But in the 5th minute, Kaoru Mitoma, who we shouted out last week on the pod, the Japanese who they just recruit, great recruitment at Brighton and Hove Albion these days. This youngster streaking up the left, taking on 2 men, and then laying it off to Trossard to finish smartly from close range in the 5th minute. And then Alpha swinging in cross. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, wrong place, wrong time in the 14th minute. And then a similar story about half an hour later, just before halftime, as off a set piece, Trevoh Chalobah, wrong place, wrong time in the 42nd minute. Yep. And it was 3-0 at halftime, but that was a fully deserved and indicative scoreline. Brighton coming out like a house on fire and giving it to Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, Potter came in with his glow up, but that's all that he came in with.
And I mean, to be fair, I will say that Chelsea did try to fight back in between those 2 own goals. Those 2 own goals were fully deserved because had they not been own goals, there's a Brighton player right behind it to put it in. So I think those would have been goals anyway. Yeah. But they had a couple chances, and then Kai Havertz ended up scoring. Their Brighton keeper Robert Sanchez ended up with 7 saves and made some big saves to kind of, I think it was 2-0. Havertz, he saved from Havertz. If he scores there, maybe it's a different game, but
great keeper Robert Sanchez is too. Has a shout for that Spanish gloves at the World Cup coming up. Like
especially with the hair, not even in the 55-man squad.
And in Spain, all those big clubs in Spain, they don't have Spaniards in their first choice gloves. So I mean, I think Sanchez.
I think it's him and Kepa's to lose.
Yep. And we'll see with Kepa. I mean,
they subbed him off at halftime.
And Mendy was playing for Chelsea today and let in a kind of shady goal. He's been an interesting not in great form.
2 great choices to have to flip back and forth.
Yeah, because I mean, the Kepa that we saw, like Kepa was great earlier in the season. It was like, is this the dude that we've been watching for like 3 years be ass?
They said, what was the post I saw? Engage Kepa hits different.
Yeah.
Because literally right after he got his gauge, his form has just been phenomenal.
Yep.
So shout out to Kepa's fiance.
Yep. Wanted to shout out Pervis Estupiñán, the Ecuadorian fullback, who took the place of Marc Cucurella, who Chelsea bought from Brighton and Hove Albion before Potter had even gone. And Cucurella was awful on this day. Maybe the worst player in Chelsea blue, and Estupiñán,
maybe only other than Potter.
Yeah, taking his spot and showing out, and was like giving them hell up and down his wing all night.
But he's playing. They have him playing on the left side of a back 3. Like Potter didn't play that at Chelsea. Like,
he played 4 at the back.
Yeah, and he was a great like wing back, like fullback. So like. I don't
not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah, right? Like why are you putting him in somewhere like, okay, like you're not good at this, but we're gonna give it a shot anyway when you have this spot over here that I suppose maybe to try to fit Chilwell in but he didn't even play Chilwell in that game.
For me, it's like Tottenham. It's like what the problem is. Just attack. Stop inviting pressure every game, which you eventually end up getting scored on. It's like the same with Brighton. It's like just play your best system and your players in the best formation, and you'll get results.
You'll figure it out. or just buy better players. Like, if you don't, just buy better players. But that's the first thing you got to do. Like, play the system that's going to get you results. And, like, I don't know what he was thinking in this game. I don't know if he just overthought it too much. He was psyched to go back to Brighton. And I don't know what he thought, but this was just a complete disaster for Potter and Chelsea.
Yeah, Chelsea in 6th, looking up at the top 4. Brighton in 8th right now after a really hot start when they were in the Champions League places. Have slipped a little bit, but a great result here for the Seagulls. Let's keep it moving. A short trip down the south coast to Bournemouth, where at the Vitality, they were hosting Tottenham Hotspur. And again, the typical, I mean, this is almost a carbon copy of the last Spurs game we were just talking about. Coming out flat, completely dominated by little Bournemouth, who are having a great season. You know, they got rid of Scott Parker early, and that was the right call because they've been playing some good football despite having one of the smallest budgets in the Premier League. Kiefer Moore, the Welsh international striker,
great finishes
with a brace, 2 smart finishes. From the edge of the area in the 22nd minute from Tavernier on the fast break, and then in the 49th minute from close range played in by Smith. And it was 2-0 after the 49 minutes, but a complete turnaround by Spurs. Completely took the game over after going down 2. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, again, playing maybe Spurs' best player in this game again.
Yeah.
Playing a beautiful ball through to Ryan Sessegnon to finish from a tough angle in the 57th minute. And then Ivan Perisic swinging a corner in, and Ben Davies rising to head home and level things in the 73rd. And it took until 90 plus 2. They only ever win in injury time. The Spurs team. This is on the fast break, worked from left to right, and holding midfielder Rodrigo Betancourt found himself the furthest man forward on that right side in acres of space, and a smart finish.
He's been in some good form.
Smashed it home. Yeah, been very good for them since coming over from Juventus. Him and Kulusevski really turned that team around. Yeah, they're really missing him right now, as well as Richarlison. But Betancourt rescuing all 3 points for Spurs to stay in 3rd place, only 3 points behind City. So, you know, despite the shakiness, still a lofty position for Spurs.
That's where Conte gets you.
Yeah.
You know, regardless of what we talk about style and coming out too defensive, he does get you results, and it's super frustrating. He's like Mourinho in that sense.
Yep, I was gonna say he's basically Mourinho part 2. He's a more angry Mourinho, I think.
He's Mourinho without the Champions League success.
Yeah. But Tottenham just needs a number 10. Their best number 10 is Harry Kane, who is also their number 9. So it's like, you know, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do? Like, I mean, they would have been Christian Eriksen was sitting right there. They should have brought him back. Yeah. But I don't know. Thank God they didn't.
Yeah, their biggest issue is not on the bench or on the field. It's in the boardroom.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, though, but Levy has opened his purse strings a little bit, but I feel like it's coming to a breaking point where Conte is going to be like, I need more money. I want more money. And there's going to be a point where Levy's going to say no, and Conte's going to be like, well, fuck it, I'm out.
Conte never stays anywhere that long.
No. I thought they should have got Pochettino back. It would have been the best case for all parties involved.
Yeah, maybe that's the next move. He's still out there.
He's still out there. Yeah. I think Villa's looking at him.
Villa was in the mood for him, but they got Unai.
Yeah, oh, right. Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Good evening. Yes. I don't know why he left Villarreal. What a good gig he had there.
I don't understand either.
Money.
Yeah, true.
It's the money. Yeah.
Cash rules everything around.
Before we leave this game, wanted to shout out Lewis Cook. The silky midfielder, not a very silky name. He's got one of those proper English football names, but doesn't play that way. Kind of plays like a Spanish midfielder.
Yeah.
Really thought he was running the show in the first half. Let's use that Eriksen mention as a segue to head over to Old Trafford, where Manchester United were hosting former manager David Moyes and his West Ham Hammers coming up from London to Old Trafford. And this one, what's your read on this match here? You squeaked out all 3 points.
Nope.
Classy from Eriksen in this one, I thought.
Yep.
But, result with not a great performance. Not convincing.
Everything went to hell once Eriksen left. Yeah. Because he lets us he holds the ball. He plays the way that Ten Hag wants to play. Hold the ball, set the tempo. Don't do anything rash. Just do that. Once we subbed him off for Fred, it was over, and we just kept inviting pressure. And if it wasn't for David De Gea, who had his best game in like ages, he made at least 3 world-class saves. If it wasn't for him, like that's probably a win for West Ham.
I hate to bring up the elephant in the room, but for me, United just do not look like United when Ronaldo's on the field.
Thank you. Yes.
I don't know why they're still playing him. It's crazy.
Well, because Tony Marshall's hurt.
I know, but just like given his behavior recently, you know, leaving the pitch before the game's over after a great performance a couple of weeks ago, and he's rewarded with a starting spot in the next 2 games.
It made no sense to me, especially after he publicly humiliated him. It was like he realized when he got home, he's like, no, damn it. I'm a Ronaldo fan too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Like, and it just if Tony Marshall, like when Tony Marshall's playing, and we saw it earlier in the season, there's just more movement along the front with him and Rashford and Anthony. If he ever stops doing spins, he's probably somewhere doing spins right now. And like Jadon Sancho, whenever he gets his head out of his ass, I don't know. Like, I don't know what his problem is.
Nelson has more goal contributions.
I don't understand the Sancho thing either, though.
Well, you were at Dortmund.
He was electric at Dortmund. Him and Haaland were just, you know, what a great partnership.
I think you answered your own comment, man. I think he just needs to go back to Germany. Some guys just can't cut it in England.
But I mean, Sancho, like, that's an analogous league, too, though. The pace of play in Germany, like, I thought it would slot in beautifully at, you know, it just hasn't materialized.
Just hasn't come.
I think it's at Dortmund, you know, you don't have that pressure of guys like Ronaldo and them in the dressing room. It's a very team-oriented environment, and like it seems like Dortmund is one of those teams too who's really good at being like whoever's in form is playing. I don't care what your name is. You're in form, you're starting.
So I just want to give a shout out to Marcus Rashford, the goal scorer. Marcus has been awesome lately.
Very good. Great goal.
World Cup, perfect timing.
Yeah, for sure.
And Diogo.
No, he was fantastic.
Dalot's been like your best fullback.
Well, he's our only fullback. Like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I don't know where the hell he is, but like I don't
Luke
really.
Shaw is like a wave.
Luke Shaw only plays well if there's competition. So when Malacia came over, he was like, all right, well, I guess I got to start playing again. And now
World Cup year.
Yeah, exactly. And then now we got Harry Maguire back because Varane can't like open a banana without getting hurt, and that's not good for anybody. Like I think Lindelof should play the next couple games, but. I don't know. It was a good. I'm happy to get 3 points. 3 points is 3 points, but like it wasn't very encouraging ahead of we're going to Sociedad tomorrow in Europa League. I hope we start Lindelof. I have a feeling he's going to
Lindelof too.
I think Lindelof's good, and like I mean, beside Martinez, like
what a revelation he is.
Yeah.
I love the guy.
Him and Saliba for me are the best center back in the league.
But he's too short. He can't win headers.
Most aerial duels won in the league.
And Graham Souness
and Merson need to just retire.
Graham Souness,
both of them.
You were sitting there and you had the nerve, and you can say that he's short, and I can all kind of like whatever.
He was a bad passer of the ball.
What? How are you going to sit up here and lie?
He's good in the air. He's got a complete game. I don't know what they're
splitting the lines and finding Eriksson game in, game out.
But if his name was like Joe Cook from England, he would probably be the best defender in the fucking world as soon as anyway. Sorry.
we know where Souness can go.
Yeah.
After that goal though, I mean West Ham were the better team for the majority of the rest of the match. Declan Rice is sitting in front of defense, bossing the match and playing it out to Said Benrahma, who is giving y'all
Ben Rama
hell.
was fantastic.
Awesome. A really good game.
Where would United be without De Gea, man? Oh my god.
Well, I've been saying that for like 3 years, and yes, he wasn't really good last year, but like
recovered this year.
That was the only year in the last 4 or 5 that he wasn't player of the season.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that like he's not really great with his feet, and that's what Ten Hag wants. But my goalie, number one, I want you to stop shots. He can do that. You can teach him all the other shit, but if you can stop shots, I think he should still be there. Now, I think that we should maybe look at other people. Like, why not? But like
Henderson, who's been phenomenal.
Henderson was like none of those goals at Liverpool were Henderson's fault.
No.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it moving to the East Midlands, where Leicester City were hosting Man City. Brendan Rodgers, of course, on the hot seat for most of the season as his Foxes have been mired in the relegation zone, although they have recovered from some form recently, were winners the week before this, and gave City all they could handle in this match. I thought were maybe the better team on the day.
I'm glad to see that they were patient with him. Like, when they were talking of Brendan Rodgers being sacked, I'm like, who are you going to get
who's better?
And that's ultimately what you have to decide, and I'm glad they stuck with him. And I think that's the point with Klopp too. Like, you're really not, even if he's having a bad season, you're not going to get anybody worse. But or better. But no, he's been phenomenal. And that Tielemans strike.
Yeah.
The boy can hit a ball.
Man.
Left foot, right foot. It's got to be top 5.
Yeah, from 30 plus yards out, he's one of the best at those super long range.
Really is the only one I would say can hit a ball better.
It's a great segue to the one goal in this game. Kevin De Bruyne stepping up off of a free kick from about 27 yards out. Just perfectly placed, little bit of power, little bit of bend, right under the bar in the 49th minute. And that was the difference in this game because it was pretty cagey, not a lot of opportunities at either end. I thought the defending by this guy, Wout Faes, very good for Leicester City. He's a new buy this season. He's Belgian, youngster, some David Luiz vibes, especially with the look as well as the game, with that, loose afro going. Of course, Tielemans class, we already mentioned him. And another Belgian, got a trio of Belgians mentioned here. Timothy Castagne on the right side of their back four also had a great game. I thought Rodri, this was a Rodri game. We talked about the Jorginho game in Champions League for Chelsea. Yeah. If you sit off, Rodri can dictate a game and keep the ball in the other end. I thought he had a great game. And Man City, despite, maybe being second best on the day, not looking great, collecting all 3 points, that's what champions do, and they keep the pressure up top, and they're only 3-4 points behind y'all right now. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I know y'all must be you hear the footsteps, they're coming.
Man, it's so frustrating as an Arsenal fan when you're like, they have to drop some points somewhere, and there's so many games where you're like they're destined to drop the points here, and they come back.
Yeah.
And they just find a way to win. But with that being said, I'm happy with Arsenal because we're doing the same this year.
Yeah.
There's been some games where the performance didn't match the result, but we got the result. Yep. And that's what champions do.
Exactly. Yep. You got to win those ones when you're not in your best form.
And I just want to say that, Pep said something afterwards. It's like, we've proved that we can win now without Haaland. I was like, who the hell said that you couldn't? You just did.
Y'all been you guys are defending champions, right? Yeah.
You've won 4 of the last 5 years. Who the hell said that you couldn't?
He's always creating those straw men to fight against, right? He needs to motivate the lads somehow.
Jordan. He's good at deflecting attention from his guys.
Yeah, no, it's like Michael Jordan, just making shit up so he can just motivate himself.
Such personal.
Yeah.
And we will have one more stop on our Premier League rundown here. Shouts to producer Mark, who is a Newcastle fan, and it is incredible days. We got the new Saudi money in there, and they were hosting Aston Villa, who just hired, good evening, Unai Emery, who was coming off of his his successful spell at Villarreal, and had a deep run in Champions League last season to the semifinals, I believe, beat Bayern Munich. Had a great showing there, but took the bag to come to Aston Villa and promptly got worked in his debut by Mark's Newcastle Magpies.
He wasn't there. He wasn't there.
No, he wasn't there yet.
He was there for United for his first game.
Okay. So I stand corrected, but he is taking the reins at Villa right now. But to open scoring, it took until the 45+6 after some injuries in the first half. Olsen had to be subbed in for Emi Martinez, and that may have been a bit of a blow as their number one keeper had to be subbed off. But Callum Wilson stepping up to the spot. He's been great for them. After
he goes on the plane.
Some injuries up top, and he's done a great job scoring freely for Newcastle so far. He scored from open play in the 56th minute, a trademark Kieran Trippier cross, swinging in to be finished from close range in the 56th minute. And the revelation of central defensive midfielder Joe Linton, the Brazilian striker come box-to-boxer, was on the score sheet in the 59th minute to make it
best KDB impression.
3-0. What a player he is. And Miggy Almiron, after being dissed in the press by Jack Grealish,
thank you. Yeah.
Heard those rumors and has been on fire. One of the best players in the Premier League, cutting around onto his right foot and letting fly from 30 yards out. One of the goals of the week in the 67th minute to salt it away 4-0. Complete and utter dominations. 3 attempts and none on target for Villa. A complete smashing by Newcastle, who are now in 4th place and in a Champions League position.
No, Jacob Murphy hit the woodwork and Callum Wilson hit the woodwork with a hat-trick chance. So it could have been 6, but I mean, it's just like, well, that's hilarious, the Grealish thing, because it was Grealish said that they had to take Mahrez off in a game because he was playing like Miggy Almiron. Almiron, since that, has scored 6 goals, and Grealish, I think, has 1. And Grealish can barely sniff the pitch for City. Like,
he
hey, like, you better just
he shouldn't be going to the World Cup.
No, man, you better put that headband over your mouth and just we don't need to hear that. But it was an incredible performance for Newcastle, and I mean, the midfield too of Joe Linton and Bruno, like who had that at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, Brazilian partnership, and we were talking about before recording. Bruno Guimarães come over from Lyon, halfway through last season, was already a Brazilian full international before coming over to Newcastle.
United, Arsenal, Chelsea,
and looks like one of the classiest players on the planet right now. As he said, completely dictating play as a box-to-box midfielder, line-splitting passes, good in the tackle, never goes to ground. Never loses the ball, so good in possession, and just kind of like they run everything through him and he sprays it around and it's working. I would
compare him to Partey. For Arsenal. He allows Joe Wellington to look like Xhaka looks for Arsenal by being the box-to-box, the sturdy, divider. He stops, breaks up the play, gives it to Joe Wellington, allows him to just bomb forward.
Yep.
Yeah. No. So and I mean, based off of they could actually do that. Like St. Maximum just came back in this game. Like he got subbed on the 86th minute. Like he's coming back, and they got money. Like I'm really kind of terrified of Newcastle.
Be a very interesting January, right? Yeah. Like if they can get a couple of smart buys,
like a Trossard, like someone like Marco Asensio at Real, who's not really playing all that much. Like there's a lot of good players who are on the fringes of like these other clubs. Newcastle can throw the bag at them.
Yeah,
why
man.
not?
And Isaac's injured.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him. Yes.
Remember,
come over from Sociedad.
John Joe Shelby's coming back to fitness as well. Matt Ritchie's there. Like they actually have some squad. Frazier, who I rate as well, actually targets there. Like Chris Wood is good for a goal every now and then.
Yep.
Like they actually have a pretty decent lineup. And Joe Willock is another guy who he plays in Spurs, but if Joe Wellington were to drop off, a guy like Willock can step up and deliver some goals too for midfield.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's been good since coming over from Arsenal for Newcastle. Like every time I see him, he looks good. So that's all we got for our Premier League rundown this week. We will reconvene in a couple weeks to see where everything stands in that top 4. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the False Nine. We will see you next time. Be sure to give us a like and subscribe on our YouTube channel and give us a follow on Instagram, and we will see you next time.